2006, I was on a train, an overnight train from St Petersburg to Moscow, returning after a weekend of meetings. And we'd splashed out a bit to get a coupe, and by splashed out I mean maybe like 25 quid, because Russian trains are cheap, unlike British trains. A coupe is a cabin with 4 bunks, and there's me and my 2 colleagues. So there's always that thing of like, oh, we've booked 3 beds, who's going to be in the 4th? And it's a lot better than Platt's cart, where you have to share a whole carriage with 53 other people who walk into your feet as they go to the loo at night because you stick off the end of the bunk. So we get on the train. Who's it going to be? It's this nice Russian lady, speaks really good English. She's just passed some tests to become a tour guide for the summer. We say hello. She heads off to the bar, and we don't see her for quite a while. We settle down, have a bit of a chat, and we probably turn the light off about 2 a.m. Shortly afterwards, the door slides open. Here is this lady, completely legless, having got pissed at the bar, being propped up by a guy who she's presumably met at the bar. And he deposits her on the end of my bunk. I'm on one of the bottom bunks. My colleagues are on the other bunk, so her bunk is above me. There's a brief whispered conversation, and then I can't exactly remember what happened next. I just know that there was this moment where he disappeared, and my colleague whispered down from the top bunk, "You've got to stop them from having sex." I was like, what? Okay. And I had a couple of minutes to think before the door opens. He comes back in, hoists her up into the top bunk, and proceeds to climb up after her. So I stood up, took a deep breath, and was like, told him in no uncertain terms to get out. In English, my Russian wasn't very good at this point. And he said, "She's my wife." And I said, well, if you wanted to have a bunk with your wife, you should have booked 2 beds in the same coupe rather than just one, at which point he pretended he no longer spoke any English. Thankfully, at this point, the porter walks past and looks in at this situation. And in my limited Russian, I point at myself and say, "Один," which is 1, my colleagues, "Два," 3, and then at the woman, "Четыре." So he realises, this 5th guy is not supposed to be here. So he hauls him out, closes the door. An unfortunate situation avoided, we hoped. So we settle down to bed. She's completely unconscious in the top bunk and snoring very loudly. And I don't sleep very well on transport at the best of times, but I was like, well, I'm not going to sleep at all tonight. Plus, she's lying on her back, she's drunk, she might vomit and die. So I whisper up to my colleague Joe, I say, do you know how to put someone in the recovery position? Because I personally don't want to be manhandling this Russian lady. And she says no, and I said, well, I'll talk you through it. And the thing is, when you're 10, at school, learning how to do the recovery position on other 10-year-olds, you don't realise quite how heavy an actual adult unconscious body is going to be. Let's just say it took all 3 of us to roll her over. Anyway, so we're standing, and because she's on the top bunk, we're kind of standing on bunks and everything, trying to get her into the right position. Anyway, we start to roll her over. Dan, my other colleague, suddenly says, there's an orange. And he reaches under her neck and pulls this orange out. It turned out that as she got onto the train before she went to the bar, she deposited a bunch of fruit on her bed and forgotten about it. So we're trying to roll her over, pulling out oranges, an orange, an apple, whatever. There we go. How many bits of fruit? Have you got them all, Dan? Yeah, sorted. And then we roll her over into the recovery position, and she stops snoring, and we get a good night's sleep. And we wake up in the morning. She's still alive. I like to think that we saved her life. And we got off the train and headed back to our life in Moscow.
I hope you enjoyed that story. There is more of this 4Sight coming soon. Click here to subscribe, click here for a playlist of other videos in this series, and click here for a playlist of YouTube tips for business.